Hey, good afternoon. It is exactly 3 o'clock p.m. on September 15, 2021. And I was just remarking to myself about something somebody told me a while ago about hedge funds and mutual funds. I didn't know much about it in 2016, around July of 2016. And I met this guy, and he was talking to me. And, he said, when it comes to the world of hedge funds, it's actually a very small world. And there's some people that work at it, and if they get involved and they do a good job, they can retire by the time they're 40. Now, by the time they're 40, they're ready to retire. I said some other things to him. I asked him some questions, especially because he said it's such a small universe. I mean, you'd think quality, right? If you got somebody that even in that small universe, it has a disproportionate influence, huh? But, I mean, what can I say? I'm not a hedge fund manager, right? What I am, though, is somebody interested in retirement and age appropriate retirement obligation fulfillment, right? And so that's why I'm letting you know ahead of time that tomorrow I am going to be formally responding to an effort through the local federal district court here in Dallas, not in Houston. By the way, when I requested removal, I did not request a kickback, right? Just so you know. And I'm sure you know that because we've had plenty of time now to actually communicate effectively and you understand. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you an understanding of what to look forward to. I sent this to myself on September 11th, 2021, before noon. Why? Because that day there was an announcement of $100 million that had been assessed in conjunction with a number of matters. But my understanding is that it was a hedge of some sort that was going to be of relevance within a very specific period of time that was going to come due before what would have been the filing period or the deadline for the appeal in the manner in which I was currently engaged, because there was this mysterious response from the alleged clerk that didn't really make any sense unless approached from this perspective. And let me tell you, it makes perfect sense now, right? Especially after what posted on the 13th. Yeah. And so as a result, timelines are working out. And I'm letting you know that wave off that just came from Harris County, I understand there could potentially be a serious conflict of interest if what was supposed to post today but ended up getting delayed for another 15 days is supposed to intersect in any way, shape, or form through my case. So as a matter of professionalism, especially considering that the individual of concern is actually on that level, professionally speaking, please do not allow for any derivative action connected to that $100 as a hedge of protection on this $100 million to intersect through Dallas tomorrow when I file. Okay? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I'm extending to you the same professional courtesy I'm sure you just extended to me in the other room, right? Okay. So let me give you a sample of what you have to look forward to here. Or rather, let me read to you what I was analyzing in connection with establishing and maintaining the claim. First of all, let me tell you, I checked the available public records. I've been provided with no contact from the attorney. I've been provided with no paperwork. I have not even been provided with the judgment order that presumably was issued in the Justice Court. And while allegedly there was a deputy that served notice, well, let's just say that I understand that was a miscommunication, especially in consideration of the fact that it would have behooved both the opposing counsel as well as the court to inform me that they had received the notification that it had been referred to that court, unless, of course, they understood that there was a procedural error and they are adhering to the timeline they stated, which was a 14-day timeline. And so as a result, I did my own public record search, and there's only one public record regarding the property of concern, and it is not at all equivalent with or commensurate with the information that was presented at trial. What they said in the courtroom as part of the public record without providing any actual documentation in order to back up their claim, which was also part of what was used to substantiate the judgment, does not correlate with what the public records say. Now, the details of that are going to be presented, but I have contended and maintained my contention that I actually have a homestead claim and that I'm the one with the homestead claim. And so this whole eviction proceeding, insofar as I would be mischaracterized or misidentified as a tenant, it's not appropriate. And what was my first response to understanding some of the laws in the state of Texas and the qualification for homestead? One of the quotes here from the information that was accessible on this site, the courts have defined a family as a group of people having the social status of a family. And I asked, does this include secret hedge fund assignment in a family structure? If he says he is working with a hedge fund manager and then discusses the terms of homestead claims with me, I believe I can infer that he's associated me within his social status considerations as a member of the family. There is no reason for me to convey as if we were man and wife. Then, further, the head of the family must be legally or morally obligated to support at least one other family member, and there must be a corresponding dependence by the other family member for this support. End quote. I cannot even get a job to purchase food for myself because somehow I am considered family enough to be in his pension fund, and they obligations preclude me from being able to receive compensation for myself. Neither his sister nor his brother have seemed to feel concerned about this until the second anniversary on the date of my Virginia birth certificate? Question mark. Then I refer back to this information. However, support of a dependent adult must always be financial, end quote. Did I say, does buying food count? They even stole my bicycle by cutting the lock from the inside of the courtyard area, so I could not go to the food bank to get my own food. I mean, it's an abusive family, but the police seem to think this is a private matter to be handled within the family, right? I'm just clarifying, right? Okay, so then, referring back, quote, creating homestead rights in a piece of property in Texas does not require a formalized legal process or the filing of a specific document. Creating a homestead is typically based on how owners use the land and whether they intend to claim the land as a permanent residence. While you do not have to actually occupy the property, you do need the right to possession of the property. By the same token, occupying and using a piece of land alone doesn't make it a homestead. Different types of usage of the property are required to establish urban and rural homesteads, end quote. Then I say, well, the brother already acknowledged my homestead claim when he gave me my own key code to the lock on the front door after waiting more than a year to repair the door. I had given the person of concern the invoice with my information about cost of materials and labor to fix it myself. They took that and instead hired someone else to put a 4-digit PIN number lock on the door. The brother told me that I have a separate PIN number than the other person, and that no one else has my PIN number except for the person who provided the lock. And he has not, in any way, shape, or form, been a part of this proceeding, and is not, presumably, at least by the information presented in court, one of the people involved with the trust. That created not only a right of possession for me, but I am also using it as both my home and business address. The other person's business is different than mine. He hasn't told me whether or not he's legally incorporated at this location. But if he is he even the head of the household? Did he pay taxes at this address last year? Or does this have something to do with this, presumably I owe some $12 tax that I contend is actually not accurate? Because every time I try to go to pay it, somehow mysteriously they won't accept it as payment. And I've just recently found actually an acknowledgement of that as a actual violation of the law. Did you know that? If you try to make a payment to a government agency, there's no real reason for them to decline the payment, and the payment ends up somehow being registered as declined. You know, there's actually legal implications in that. I just found that out. And then there is Section 18, or 18 Section 666. Have you ever read this? Via the risk penalty attempted for extortion out of me by Bank of America. See, now, I just got information about this today. That's why I'm responding right now, right? July 1st of 2016 through March 16th of 2019. July 1st, 2016 through March 16th of 2019. Apparently, there is a concern regarding a court case way outside of the federal district court here in Dallas, right? It's a completely different jurisdiction. It has nothing to do with my case, except that July 1st of 2016 through March 16th of 2019, is a very, very important period when it comes to this $12 tax, or rather the original $12 risk penalty assessed to me by Bank of America. Why July 1st of 2016? Right? So this is just, as I said, this is just a sample. This will be appropriately formatted, all the things that will need to be done, submitted tomorrow. Do not threaten me. And do not attempt another one of those cross-jurisdictional waive-off situations, because now I'm very confused, right? Because the room that presumably the other person was supposed to be in was working some very, very high-level accounts, even outside of your jurisdiction, right? But directly connected to the things that are correlating and congealing around here. I can handle the taxes. Okay? As long as you guys engage in good faith and understand that this is not only a legitimate claim, but it is a legitimate claim that if you are qualified to assume the jurisdiction in your court for, then there are rules of professional etiquette that you are bound to observe, including disclosure, which should not be something I just find because I end up having to do a search when I am tracking acts of securities fraud that are going on in my domicile. Thank you very much.